Hi, I'm Josh Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of Teach for America Chicago. I was a 2004 Corps member in New York City. I'm excited in this video presentation we're going to share a little bit more about our work in Northwest Indiana. We first started placing Corps members in Northwest Indiana in the fall of 2007. The story goes like this. It was my first year as Executive Director here, and we had a couple of our alumni who had become principals in Northwest Indiana. We went out and visited their schools, and we saw what an incredible community Northwest Indiana is, and we wanted to participate. So now, 8 years into this work, we're ready to expand and deepen our presence in Northwest Indiana into traditional schools in both Gary and East Chicago, in addition to our traditional school placements in Hammond, more principals, and overall more Corps members. So this is an exciting time in the work there in an incredibly important community.
Hi, my name is Barry Tyler Jr., and I'm the Director of Northwest Indiana Partnerships for Teach for America. As a lifelong Northwest Indiana resident, I'm excited to be on staff with Teach for America Chicago and Northwest Indiana, and to be here today to talk to you about the misconceptions and some assets of TFA in that area. So one of the most common questions that I get in terms of Northwest Indiana and Teach for America's presence there is if Corps members have to live in Northwest Indiana to teach there. The answer is no. So the majority of our Corps members actually still live in Chicago and commute to Northwest Indiana on a daily basis. Speaking of that commute, some Corps members believe it takes 3 hours to get to Northwest Indiana from Chicago. That is another misconception. It's actually, Northwest Indiana is only about 30 miles from downtown Chicago, and from my door to the TFA office is about 35 minutes. So normally a commute will last between 30 and 45 minutes. So given that they're actually two different states, yes, there are some differences between licensure and certification in Indiana and Illinois. As Sarah Thomas, our manager of licensure, would say,
usually Corps members find that the coursework that they've taken throughout college actually directly correlates to their Northwest Indiana placement, whereas that's not necessarily always the case in Illinois. Another thing to keep in mind about Northwest Indiana when it comes to certification is that you will attend coursework for 1 year, not necessarily 2 years unless you want to opt into getting your master's degree, and that is optional in Northwest Indiana, whereas in Illinois it's not optional, it's required. The other thing to keep in mind is that the AmeriCorps Award will cover the cost of the certification coursework in Northwest Indiana if you choose to not pursue the master's degree. So just a few facts about Northwest Indiana certification. If you have any more questions, you can ask me.
in terms of living and working in Northwest Indiana, there's a ton of positive aspects that you might not know about. Here are 3 of those. If you were to ask a Corps member or alum what they enjoy most about their time in Northwest Indiana, I think one of the most common themes you'll hear is the thought about the small, close-knit aspect of the overall community, as well as the smaller cohort of Corps members. They get to know each other, they work together on a daily basis, they carpool, they hang out on weekends and even during the week after school hours together. And they grow to become like a family with one another. Another positive aspect of Teach for America's work in Northwest Indiana is the fact that we have a dedicated staff member along with our teacher coaches. So in my current role, I collaborate with our teacher coaches dedicated to working with our Northwest Indiana Corps members, while also establishing and maintaining relationships with school leaders, community leaders, in a way that creates a support network for students and families throughout Northwest Indiana. So because I'm from Northwest Indiana and have a true love and passion for that area, I'm able to better connect Corps members and alum to the actual needs of the community. Along with the need for more quality teachers, there's also a large potential for dedicated adults to make positive impact on the lives of students in Northwest Indiana. Want to learn more?
Hey guys, so I'm Erin. I'm on the onboarding team. It took me about 5 minutes of being at a Northwest Indiana professional development event a few months ago to really just want to know more about that community. They had some high schoolers doing spoken word pieces about just like how they feel about their school and their community and what they wanted for themselves, and it was just really moving, and it made me think about just how there's not really necessarily like a set story about Northwest Indiana, and it needs more people really passionate about advocating for Northwest Indiana and telling a really nuanced, compelling story.
So don't just take my word for it. You heard it straight from Erin Lydale as well. Want to learn more about Northwest Indiana? Feel free to contact me. Thanks.